Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and welcome to day 5 of the Cracklathon. So I am doing a crackle every single day for a whole month, so if you have not seen the previous days, please do check back on those and have a look, as there have been a lot of separate techniques for crackle that have been shown, so please do check that out. And if you would like to vote for your favourite crackle, please do consider joining my group Jessama Tutorials Polymer Clay Community on Facebook. So let's get started with day 5, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a plain heat gun crackle using a piece of metallic polymer clay. And I'm using silver Primo that's been rolled out on my thickest setting, which is 2mm thick, which is the minimum thickness that I would say you need if you're using a heat gun. And this is the brand of heat gun I am using. You can see I have it on my hottest setting over here, and I'm going to be working on my highest wind speed, which is number 2 over here. Okay, so I've got my clay, and generally I like to use metallic polymer clay if I'm just using a straight heat gun crackle with no antiquing, no alcohol inks or any other effects, just because I find that it looks really nice. So something I just want to point out before we actually use the heat gun is just look how glossy the clay is. This is something that you want to pay attention to, because when you're using the heat gun, once it has cured properly, the top surface of the clay, you'll find that the clay goes matte. So you really want to be paying attention to that. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that from the angle you are at, but I will definitely show you by picking it up. So I'm just going to switch on the heat gun. I'm going to put it on my hottest setting, and I'm not going to switch off until this is real time how long it's taking me to crackle it. And that's all it should take on the hottest setting. Now I can run my fingers over that, no drag or anything. I'm not sure if you were able to pick up on the camera that it went matte, but let me just show you. If you're doing this at home, you'll be able to see from the angle you're at. Now you can see that it does still have a sheen because it is a metallic clay, but it is matte. Here's what the other side looks like. You can see it has a metallic sheen to it, but it has a kind of sticky wet look, whereas this one is kind of a flat matte look. And it should feel completely different. This side, when you run your finger over it, it should drag a bit. So you can see here, it drags. This side, you can run over without any drag. Okay, and also another way you can tell as well whether you've crackled it enough is when you press on it, there should still be a bit of give, but it shouldn't leave a fingerprint. You should leave a little dent. And just another thing, you want to be careful not to to use the heat gun for too long. Once it goes matte in one area, move to the next area. Keep it moving until all areas have gone matte, and then stop heat gunning it. Okay, so now I'm going to run this through the pasta machine on my thickest setting. And you can see we have not had any results yet. Take it down one more setting. And we're starting to get some results. I'm going to take it down one more setting. And there we are. Now I just want to point this out. I spent more time on this area than I did over here, so you can see that the crackles are larger. So what you can do is you can start cracking it by hand as well, if it's giving you trouble. I'm just going to take it down one more setting. There we are. Okay, so I'll be able to show you now what the different areas look like. So this is an area where I spent less time with the heat gun, and this is an area where I spent possibly too much time with the heat gun. You can see how large those cracks are. If that is what you're looking for, that is good for you, but this is spending too long on it. And you can see from the amount of time that I spent with the heat gun, it is very easy to overdo it. So if you haven't done this sort of crackle before, I would recommend playing around with leftover clay, some really yucky leftover clay that you're just not going to really use for anything other than bead cores, maybe, and texture stamps, and practice your heat gunning, because this is ultimately what you want to go for around about this section. This section has been heat gunned for too long. Okay, and now what I've done is I've rolled it through the pasta machine, which has kind of flattened it out, and generally with other opaque clays that's going to defeat the effect of the crackle, but with the metallic clays, it creates a really nice metallic effect. That's not the correct word. It creates almost kind of like a mica shift effect. So I'm just bringing over, there we go, a piece of clay, piece of paper, and what I do after running it through the pasta machine is I burnish it. And keep in mind you can do this with any metallic clays. If you're using a non-metallic piece of clay, like any translucent or opaque brands of clay, you would want to crackle it by hand and not run it through the pasta machine so much, because you would lose the crackle effect by doing this. Okay, all I'm doing here is I'm just flattening it out so that it's nice and smooth. But I really love how it looks like this. I'll just pick that up. So it's almost like a crackle mica shift. So I do hope that that was helpful to you as far as how to crackle your polymer clay. Remember, you're aiming for this, so don't hold your heat gun over the surface for too long. You can see how very quickly it can be overcured, so just keep that in mind. And also another very important fact, always keep your clay at least 2 millimeters thick, or on the thickest setting of your pasta machine, because thin clay, say maybe 1 millimeter, once you roll it through the pasta machine, it generally tends to crumble rather than the raw clay coming up and filling the gaps between the cured clay, like over here. So just make sure that your clay is at least 2 millimeters thick, otherwise you're going to encounter some issues. So I do hope that that was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below if it was. If you have any questions, also let me know in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you on day 6. Bye for now.